What's up guys, season 22 is finally here with new aspects for Strand, and today I have a Titan Banner of War build for you guys. This is one of my favorite builds now on Titan, so if you enjoy this build and want to see more of my content, make sure to go check out my channel and my other videos I've made over some of the builds. For this build we're going to be on the Berserker Strand Titan subclass, and the exotic we're going to be using is Synthoceps. For those who don't know, Synthoceps is basically bionic enhancements, increase melee lunge range, improve melee and super damage when you're surrounded. This is going to be really crucial for the build because we're going to be focusing on our melee the most. On the subclass, the abilities we're going to be using is Rally Barricade. This season Towering Barricade did get a nerf. It was 48 seconds, now it's up to 1 minute and 10 seconds. That's all because of Crucible and it was a horror deal. So for this build, we're going to be using Rally Barricade. This class ability will basically give us our grenade and melee back and also will pick up our orbs around us. Once we get to the armor mods, you'll see that. Also, we're going to be using the Frenzied Blade. This is our only option for the melee, but this basically gives us 3 charges of the melee, and this will be very crucial for the aspect we're going to get to in a second. For the normal version of this melee will sever your targets. For the grenade of this build, we're going to be using the grapple grenade actually. This actually really works well with our exotic, because every time we do a grapple melee, we're going to be doing over 40,000 damage if you have a Synthoceps procced, and also if you have the aspect we're going to get into it a second on. For the aspects of this build, we're going to be using Fletched Storm. Basically what this does is while you're sliding, you activate your charged melee, you'll leap up into the air, you'll push enemies away that are in front of you, and you just keep pushing your charged melee and you keep launching these projectiles. These projectiles will unravel your targets, and also with our Synthoceps, we're going to be doing a ton of damage with this aspect. For the second aspect, we're going to be using Banner of War. This is the new one that just came out for season 22, Season of the Witch. And basically what this does is that when you defeat a target with a melee attack, finisher, or a sword, it will raise a Banner of War on you. This will pulse with energy, which of those pulses will heal you and nearby allies, and also increase your melee and sword damage. And yes, this melee damage does stack with Synthoceps. And also targets defeated by you and your nearby allies, charge the banner. This increases the speed and the pulses. And also this will reset the timer to make it last longer. This is probably one of the best aspects I've seen in a long time. And this really helps our melee out and also just keeps us alive constantly. I'm definitely going to be bringing this aspect into day 1 for Courtesan this season. And I also feel like if you give this a try, you'll definitely like this subclass with this aspect. I was stuck between using Fletched Storm and also Into the Fray, but us using our grapple and getting those grapple melees actually really help with getting our melee back with Fletched Storm. But if you want to go the safer route and not really the damage route, you could probably switch Fletched Storm out for Into the Fray. Basically what this does, when you destroy a tangle, you'll give Woven Mail to you and your nearby allies. This also will give you 10 HP every time the pulse happens from the destroyed tangle, and this will also increase your melee regeneration rate, which from the normal melee, the Frenzied Blade, you will be severing your targets. And severing just got a buff this season as well. It went from 30 I think to 40, so there's another aspect for that. So yeah, if you want to go for the safer route, do Into the Fray and also Banner of War. But for this build, I'm going to be using Fletched Storm and Banner of War because I want the safety from Banner of War and also just the aggressiveness from Fletched Storm. For the fragments of this build, we're going to be using Thread of Wisdom. Defeating suspended targets creates an overpower. You might be wondering why we're using this, because we don't really have any suspending in this build from the subclass. The reason why we're using this is because our heavy tech on our super actually suspends targets, and with the mods on our armor, we're going to be getting more orbs just from our super. And also when we get those kills from those targets that are suspended, you also get the orbs from those kills. So basically it's just overlapping with a lot of orbs from this build. For the second fragment, we're going to be using Thread of Warding. Picking up an Orb of Power against a Woven Mail. This is a 60% damage reduction every time you pick up an Orb of Power, which will be a lot with this build because we're going to be making constant Orb of Powers. For the third fragment, we got Thread of Fury. Damaging targets with a tangle grants melee energy. This is one of the main essential ways we're going to get melee energy within this build. And also tangle cooldowns got reduced, so there's going to be more tangles out when you're playing. So then with those tangles, you can either shoot them when enemies are nearby or throw them at a group of enemies and you'll get some melee energy back. And for the fourth and final fragment, we got Thread of Generation. Dealing damage regenerates grenade energy. This did get a nerf this season, but it's still very good. And this is one of the main essential ways we're going to be getting our grenade back. Here are the full mods. For the helmet of this build, we got Hands On. Gain bonus super energy on melee kills. We're going to be getting a ton of melee kills with this build, so that you're going to be getting your super very fast. For the second fragment, we got Power of Preservation. This is where I was talking about with your super and getting a lot of orbs with your super. So basically this states your super final blows create extra orbs for your allies. This will really help, and you can probably get up to 12 plus orbs with this mod and also with this super. And then also stacking Thread of Wisdom onto that, we'll get even more orbs from that because we're going to be suspending targets with our super. For the third mod, on our helmet we got Harmonic Siphon. Rapid Strand final blows create orbs of power. You can basically switch this out for whatever weapon you're using, but for this build we're going to be using a Strand weapon, so I'm going to be using Harmonic Siphon. For the gauntlets we got Heavy Handed, your power melee final blows creates orbs of power, and also we got firepower. Your grenade final blows creates orbs of power. These together with our grapple melee, basically we'll be making 2 orbs every time we get a grapple melee. And also when we use our Flash of Storm aspect and our melee from that, we're going to be getting even more orbs from that. So we're going to be getting a lot of orbs with this build, and this will all just play back into our melee and our grenade. For the third mod, we have Grenade Kickstart. Basically what this does is when you expend your grenade, you'll get a chunk of your grenade back, and this will just definitely help. And also stacking with Thread of Generation, you'll get your grenade back very fast with this build. For the chest piece, we just got Charged Up. Increases the maximum number of stacks of armor charge you can carry by 1. So basically it's going from 3 to 4. Also just any resist mods you want. For the legs, we got Stacks and Stacks. Picking up an Orb of Power grants you 1 additional stack of armor charge. So basically we're making 2 orbs from our grapple melee, so right when we pick those up, we'll get our full 4 stacks of armor charge. And for the second mod, we got Invigoration. Reduces melee cooldown each time you pick up an Orb of Power. And also we got Innervation. Reduces your grenade cooldown each time you pick up an Orb of Power. I'm not using Recuperation with this build because first of all, Wolf of Mail is just really good. And second of all, Banner of War, basically since we're going to be getting a lot of melee kills with this build, we're going to be getting our health back just from that banner. So I'm not going to be using Recuperation with this build, and we're just going to go fully ability based. For the class item of this build, we got Outreach. Reduces melee cooldown when using your class ability. So when we're in that spot of just we're waiting for our abilities to come back and trying to damage targets with our grenade, we can basically just pop our class ability and we'll get our melee back. And also we have Bomber, reduces your grenade cooldown when using your class ability. So we're going to get a chunk of grenade and melee back every time we pop our class ability. And for the third mod, we got Powerful Attraction. Automatically collects nearby orbs of power when you activate your class ability. There's going to be basically orbs everywhere, so every time we pop our class ability, it'll basically pick up all the orbs that are around us. You could probably switch this out for Reaper if you really want to get more orbs, but I'm just going to be using Powerful Attraction just because I feel it's nice to me. For the stats of this build, you want to build into Resilience first, Strength next, and Discipline last. For me, I have 100 Resilience, 100 Strength, and 60 Discipline. If you have better armor, you could probably get that Discipline even higher, but this is what I'm working with now. Definitely have your strength very high with this build because having that regeneration on your strength is very nice to have. Even though we have so much going into our melee, we have 3 charges of our melee, so it's going to take a while either way. So having that 100 strength is definitely going to help recharge that very fast. And for the weapons, you can use any weapon you really want to. I'm just using a Strand weapon. I would be using the one from this season, the Kept Confidence, and this is not a bad roll in general, but sadly this gun actually doesn't roll with hatchling, which I really wanted from a 140. But yeah, the Crota's End weapons actually got leaked in the perks. I won't leak it here, obviously, so no spoilers. But there are a couple of Strand weapons, and the Strand weapons actually look very good. Keep a lookout for that, and also you could probably use this hand cannon if you really want to. Also, Round Robin actually has subsistence and hatchling, even though it's a 120, so it doesn't feel that good in PvE, but it's still an option if you really want to. Then you can use any special you want and every heavy you want. You can use a sword with this build, because actually it will help your Banner of War, but I feel like we have so much going into our melee, and also our grapple melee, because that also counts as a melee kill when you get your grapple melee kill. So we have 2 ways already to go towards our Banner of War, so I really don't think you really need to have a sword on. I just have this on just for eager edge. If you want to, I know World Line 0 now with the buff that you can use your heavy attack twice. It actually does a decent amount of damage now, burst damage. And also swords got a buff with their guards, so they do like 90% damage reduction when you get guarding with your sword and stuff like that. So use really whatever you want to. Since the new season came out, I do not have all the artifact mods obviously, but there are a few I do want to talk about. First one being Thanatotic Tangles. Strand weapon final blows have a chance to generate a tangle. Since we're going to be using a Strand weapon, basically we're just going to be making even more tangles with this build. You can use any siphon combo you really want to with this build, depending on your heavy and special weapon. You can also use refreshing pickups. Picking up a tangle grants energy to your least powered ability. And also we have communal pickups. When an ally destroys a tangle or picks up it, the tangle cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds, and also you gain a bonus weapon damage to your weapons matching your subclass for 10 seconds, so Strand weapons. This one's probably the best one in my opinion for this build, but we also have elemental munitions. Combatant final blows with tangles have a chance to drop heavy or special ammo. I think these 3 are just really good with this build, so you can definitely build into these 3. For the gameplay loop of this build, first you want to grapple melee a group of enemies. This will spawn 2 orbs on pickup, which will give you grenade energy and melee energy. And this will also give you 4 stacks of armor charge for your grenade kickstart. Use your melee and grapple melee around targets for your bionic enhancements to do more damage, and also this will stack with Banner of War to do even more melee damage. And also Banner of War and Synthoceps does stack with your super damage, so you can use that for raw DPS if you want to. Like on the Lost Sector boss, I was hitting for over 40k per hit. But you can also use the super for ad clear and spawn a ton of orbs from Thread of Wisdom from suspending targets, and also for power preservation to spawn more orbs from your super for your allies. Also, any tangles you see, you can throw them or shoot them. Just make sure there's enemies around them when you're destroying them, from Thread of Fury to get more melee energy. Use your class ability to get more ability energy for grenade and melee, and also pick up any orbs around you. The Banner of War aspect will heal you constantly, and also will heal your allies around you, so this is a very good support build, especially for high level content. And sadly, Suspend did get nerfed, so that's why we're not really leaning into Suspend for this build. Make sure you're surrounded to proc your Synthoceps, just for your melees. But yeah, other than that, just keep cycling your abilities when you're playing, and also just try and get your melee back as fast as possible. But yeah, that's basically it. I really like this build a lot, but I really don't know what was going through their minds when they're making this aspect, because it is actually so good. I have another build like this coming out for Warlock soon, and also have one build over the new aspects for Hunter and Warlock. So stay tuned for those videos. If you want to see more, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
AKZ, you crazy?